Hello, and thank you for joining us for the first episode of A Disney Life. We truly appreciate you being here and listening to us because to us, that's what this podcast is all about. We have discovered in our Disney adventures that all of them and the best ones involve new and old friends. So we're excited that you're here for the fun with us and that you can take along some of our Disney life with you wherever you listen to your podcast. And maybe someday, eventually, we'll end up in a Disney park or on a ship together, and that'll make it even more fun. So, welcome, and we hope you stick around for a while. I am Missy, and I am here with my co host, Rachel. And
Hi.
hi, Rachel. Uh, Rachel and I first informally met many years ago through a Disney fan forum. Prior to social media being what it is today, that was a great place to meet other people in the Disney community. And since then, we have become part of a few other travel groups that periodically visit the Disney parks or sail on Disney ships. So we've gotten to travel that way together. So our goal for this podcast is to bring you a variety of Disney topics and certainly cruise topics because we both really love cruising as well. One of the things that we both loved about the old time forums was the trip reports. And we feel like this is a great place to share some trip reports with you, both to include pre-trip planning and then coming back after our trips to let you know what all we experienced and what we would recommend for you if you're looking for such recommendations. So that's what we're all about. Do you have anything to add to that, Rachel?
No, just, things that we've learned along the way and mistakes that we've made and successes that we've had. So Disney is always changing. And so we always try to stay on top of those changes and to bring those changes, that information to you.
Okay, perfect. So, what we have somewhat prepared for everyone today is a bit of a trip report from a recent experience that Rachel had on one of her trips. And you want to take it from there, Rachel?
Recently, I took part in a Disney transportation challenge. At least that's what I'm calling it. I don't know if this is an actual thing, but it should be. And
I
we're
agree,
gonna
it
call it.
should be.
Okay, yeah, it should be.
Should be a thing.
So we're going to call it the Disney Grand Slam because I took 4 modes of included transportation from there. So this is transportation that
Meaning,
did
I'm
not
sorry.
cost extra. Yeah, did not cost additional. And I'm going to make that distinction because there is one that does, which I took part in too, but not on the same day. So, all right. So I will make a note that this was a resort heavy day and a resort only day. I was not trying to go to a theme park because had I been trying to catch the standby line for Guardians of the Galaxy, I would have failed miserably for that. So, we did have evening plans that evening. I was with a group of friends. We had evening plans, but we did have some time that we had needed that we could accomplish this, and that was the key factor for that one as well. So, all right.
Okay.
So to start, we were staying at Disney's Beach Club Resort.
Okay.
And yeah, and from there you've got Skyliner options. You also have bus options. So that morning we did some resort tours. We toured around. Got on the Skyliner. Our first stop was Disney's Riviera Resort. And we're
Okay.
there. We ate lunch. Yeah. So
All right. And where did you have lunch there?
we went over to Bar Riva.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very
So
nice. I love that
that
it's
is
like
very nice.
somewhat outside, but you don't have to worry about the rain there. So I
You
love
don't have to worry
that.
about the rain. It has a bathroom close by. Usually, and we were a pretty large group, and they were able to seat us. We had to sit at different tables and everything, but there's quite a bit of seating in there, surprisingly. Yeah. So from Bar Riva,
The one thing I love about taking the Skyliner to Riviera is walking from the Skyliner through the area where they have all the mosaic artwork done there. That's always
yeah,
so pretty, I think. So sometimes we'll ride over there just to check things out in that area and see it. And even eating at their quick service if you don't have time for Bar Riva, I think is a nice little break from an Epcot park day sometimes.
yeah, they have one of my favorite quick service locations for a resort for sure. I think they have a unique menu, and the food's always good and always fresh there. So I do like that. And they have the freestyle machines, which is different from a lot of the other resorts where they have the larger stations. But they do have freestyle machines there, and they've got a pretty good coffee bar set up too if you're a coffee drinker in the quick service location. But Bar Riva is definitely it's a good stop too. If you've got a little bit longer, they've got a lot of fresh foods.
Yeah, 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 it's great. And if you're not familiar with the Skyliner, where it's located, the entrance that she's talking about is the station located at the International Gateway of Epcot, which is what people call the back side of Epcot between the United Kingdom and France pavilions. And you could also access it from Disney's Boardwalk and the Yacht and Beach Club resorts and the Swan and Dolphin there as well. So there are a lot of hotels that get the benefit of using the Skyliner there in that location. Okay, so you're at Riviera. What's your next step?
All right, so Riviera, then we walked over to, well, not walked, we skylined over to
Skyliner. Okay.
Art of Animation and Pop Century Resort. That would be a very long walk. But we did the Skyliner over there and walked around both of those, grabbed a snack at Pop Century over at Everything Pop because I think it's a unspoken rule that if you go to Pop Century Resort, somebody has to get tie-dye cheesecake.
Yes.
So yeah,
You may have
absolutely.
heard that rule from me because it,
Okay,
and
well,
I
there
love
you
now
go.
that the tie-dye cheesecake is back to actually being a slice of cheesecake rather than it. Oh, for a few years it was in those little round cups,
Yeah.
and obviously that just wasn't the same. So I love
Yes.
now that it's back to a nice, beautiful, colorful slice of cheesecakes.
Yes. Yeah. So maybe this was also a Disney transportation challenge and snacking challenge too. So
I
there
think they
goes
go
that.
hand in hand.
Absolutely. Completely. Yeah. So after walking around Art of Animation Pop Century, which that's also really convenient, they share a Skyliner station there. And so it's easy to walk from one to the other if you're staying at either of those locations. From there, we went over to Caribbean Beach Resort, which is the hub of the Skyliner location where the different routes meet there in one central stop. So we went over to Caribbean Beach Resort, walked around there for a little bit. Caribbean Beach Resort is massive. It's absolutely massive, but it is a nice resort just to go if you have time to go and walk through. The trails are pretty, it's a pretty walk from there. So, whatever Caribbean Beach Resort, no snacks there, unfortunately. But then we went back to Disney's Beach Club Resort. We had about an hour to kill before we really started the bulk of our challenge from that. So from there, we decided to grab a bus to the Magic Kingdom. Now, again, this was not a park day. This was a resort day, but we went over to the Magic Kingdom and pulled out our app so we could time the bus correctly, not have to wait outside for very long. But went over to the Magic Kingdom
And you
and
found
then we
that to
walked.
be accurate? The timing, the bus timing you thought was
Yes,
accurate?
absolutely. It is fairly accurate. And sometimes you'll get down there and they have the screens at the bus stations too, and those will jump periodically. But we did find that those bus times are fairly accurate. I also use the app too a lot when coming back from a park to a resort
Okay.
because the bus wait times will tell you when it's expected to arrive at the park. So
Right.
I use that a lot of times to try and catch a bus from a park back to the resort. Is that 100% accurate all the time? No, because sometimes, as we know, buses will go out of commission. Drivers will switch, things like that, or if you'll be
Mhm.
dropping off and then switching a different route. So, but it's still, if you're there, it's a 90-degree day in the middle of the hot sun. It's a gamble I'm willing to take with
I
that
feel
too.
like that's one of the perks of the app that a lot of people may not realize exist.
Yeah, I agree too. It's a little bit hidden back there. You have to get to your resort information and then go find the bus
Mhm.
times. But it's a good thing to know, and it's especially hey, if you're walking out of the Magic Kingdom and you see that a bus from your resort just arrived, you're probably not going to catch it. So go
So
on
don't
shop on
rush
Main
out.
Street. Don't
Yeah.
rush out. Go to the bathroom. Go to shop on Main Street. Wait for the next bus and try to time that out there.
Yeah, I seem to never plan ahead of time well enough for that. I feel like I'm the person who's always trying to see like, oh, is that at my stop? Everybody run, our
Yes.
bus is
Yes.
here because we don't prepare. So I'll have to try to make a mental note of that to utilize that more in the future because I honestly don't think I've ever used it.
Yeah, I mean, it's worked more times than it hasn't, so I'll keep
Okay.
using it until it doesn't.
Okay, excellent. Good to know. All right, so you're at the Magic Kingdom.
All right, I'm at the Magic Kingdom, wave to the Magic Kingdom because again, we were not going into a park that day. And then we hopped on the resort line monorail to head over to Disney's Contemporary Resort. So that was, and it was probably 5:30 in the afternoon at that point. So the monorail is not going to be crowded, which is nice. If you want to take a good monorail ride that's quiet, go in the afternoon. So we headed over to the Contemporary Resort. And we shopped a little, I'm not gonna lie. So
They do have some great shopping there, don't
they
they?
yes, they really do.
I'll be honest,
Telling you,
the contemporary isn't right at the top of my list for resorts, but for some reason I tend to end up there to do a little bit of shopping on every trip. I have two teenage daughters and they love the shops at the contemporary.
yeah, and it's nice. And the deluxe resorts especially seem to have very resort specific merchandise too.
Yes.
And so it's nice to go in and see that and see what they have. No snacks there. We did buy some things. So I guess it's also a shopping challenge too. So to see what is there, but they've,
Challenges for us today.
right? Absolutely. There's always something to do. So from the contemporary, we walked out of the back exit down the stairs and then walked over to the boat ramps there for the friendship boats. So from the contemporary, you can take a friendship boat back to the Magic Kingdom. You can also go over to Disney's Wilderness Lodge as well. That was our final destination for that night. So we just needed to catch the boat to Wilderness Lodge. It was nighttime at that. Well, it was dark by that point. It wasn't nighttime yet. It was about 6 in the evening, and but it was dark. And it's a It really is. It's a beautiful ride. Seeing the contemporary lit up as you're heading towards Wilderness Lodge. You see the lights peeking out through the trees. Um, it's a great ride to go through there, but that ride takes probably about 10 to 15 minutes, but you do expect about a 15 to 20-minute wait for a bus if you're going to do that.
And it is so pretty there. You're right, especially that time of day when all the lights are coming on and you could see it glistening off the water and the Wilderness Lodge itself all lit up like that. I could remember many years ago hearing tales of how, if you look at the lodge from the water, you can see that bare face. Do you remember
Yes,
that? Did you
yeah.
see
I
that? And I
do
always
remember
like to
that.
look for those windows there that you could
Yeah.
see that big old bear there welcoming you to the lodge.
Yes. And Wilderness Lodge, honestly, it's probably one of the prettiest resorts, day or night, when you go
Mhm.
to. If you pull up at night on the boat dock, as you're walking back to the resort, you've got the path lit up. It's very unique feeling for a lot of resorts there. And so it's always been one of my favorite resorts ever since it's been open anyway. So we had a meeting at Wilderness Lodge that evening. And so that was our final stop for the night. Coming back, we just decided it was late and we just hitched a ride with somebody who had a vehicle that we were with. So it was a large group. Not only part of us took part in this challenge, but
We'll
that
let you
was our
slide. You can slide on that one since you did have a meeting commitment and
yes, absolutely. Yeah. I did not have to find a way back. If I had at that point in the night, going to Disney Springs and then catching a bus from there to Disney's Beach Club would have been our least expensive option for sure, because that would have been free to us. But yeah, so that was our Grand Slam challenge. Those are the four modes of transportation that are included with a Disney resort stay. And of course, that is dependent on where you are staying because not every resort has Skyliner access, not every resort has monorail access. Every resort does have bus access. So that is the only option that you have there. But once you're on property, you do kind of have the freedom and the ability to move around as you like, which is also nice too.
Right. It doesn't matter which resort you're staying in. All of these modes of transportation are available to anybody visiting Disney, whether you're a resort guest or even just a day guest.
Yes.
I often, when people tell me, they're in Orlando for a day, they're going to the Magic Kingdom, but they think their kids might be a little overstimulated. They need a break, in the afternoon. I'll tell them, hop on this ferry boat, take a nice ride over to Wilderness Lodge, eat at their quick service, and that works with all of the monorail resorts as well. And that's something that's open for everyone, and it's fun. I mean, it's fun to ride the boat, to ride the monorail, and I mean, especially the Skyliner. I don't know if I'd ever call the buses fun, but the Skyliner, I was so skeptical when I first heard of the Skyliner being built. Then when we heard there was no air conditioning, I thought that was going to be a disaster. But I have been on it most certainly every month of the year at this point under all types of weather conditions, including rain. And while I would not want to be up there in thunder and lightning, other than that,
Yes,
keep an eye on your
absolutely.
radar. But other than that, I think it's so fun. I may enjoy it more than the monorail, but I mean,
Really?
I don't know if I would officially put that on a list anywhere,
Okay.
but I do quite enjoy the Skyliners.
Yes. Well, and I'll add to that too. The friendship boats, they're just special. I mean, they really are. It's really just a nice way to relax and enjoy a ride to one of the resorts as well. And if you're staying on the monorail loop, you have three modes of transportation that you have access to. If you're staying at the resorts that we mentioned earlier, close to the International Gateway, Boardwalk, Yacht Club, Beach Club, Swan or Dolphin, you have three modes of transportation available to you because you have the friendship boats there as well as Skyliner access and bus access too. So it's really neat. Highly, as Missy said, take the boat over to another resort. I also recommend that to people if they're spending a day at the Magic Kingdom, but they want to have a good break for lunch. Take the monorail to a monorail loop resort. Kona Cafe at Polynesian is a great place to go and have a sit down lunch that moves fairly quickly. Or if you want a character meal, going over to Chef Mickey's at an off dining time. That way you can get the experience and not necessarily the rush of dinner or breakfast that's coming in there too. It's always a good option.
Concerning the boats, it's probably also worth mentioning they do have a couple different style boats. So the smaller ones you would need to fold the stroller up on, but the larger boats do have the ability to allow strollers to roll on as long as they have space. Usually I've had good luck with being able to roll strollers on. So that's something for guests with little ones along with them
Yes.
to keep in
Yeah,
mind
we
also.
currently travel with a double stroller in my household. It is definitely, if we're going to take a boat, we have to get the larger friendship boats or do that. Now, if you're staying at one of the Epcot area resorts, that's not a problem. Those run the larger friendship boats. But if you're going from, for instance, when we went from the Contemporary Resort to the Wilderness Lodge, that was one of the smaller boats.
Okay.
So it would have been difficult to get on there with a stroller, especially a double stroller. We would have had to fold that up and everything. So keep that, yeah, as Missy said, keep that in mind too. That is an important factor to consider as well.
Yeah, and again with the Skyliner, most times you could roll one on. I think the double wide ones don't fit, right? I think it
Yeah,
has.
yeah, you have to fold up a double wide, and that's always fun. It works very well when you have two adults, one to wrangle the children and the other one to side shuffle onto the Skyliner because that's what you have to do on there. I will say, on my last trip, we got on the Skyliner. It was a couple of hours after park opening, so it was not during the rush of the morning, and they actually put us through the handicap line to pull the Skyliner. So it was stopped. It was completely stopped, and we got on that way. I still had to fold it up, but I told the cast member there, I said, this is so much more convenient for us not having to move onto it with children, with young children, small children, while also carrying a stroller on. So I was super appreciative of the cast member for doing that. And the cast member said, sometimes we're able to do this for that. So I would say that was definitely a change that I would love to see. I understand at certain busy times of the day, that's not possible, not feasible to keep that line moving. But for a quiet time of the day, that was huge, huge, huge reward for us being able to get on the Skyliner that way. Yeah.
All right, so you've got Skyliner, bus, boat. What's next?
All right, and monorail. So the next
That's right,
day,
monorail. Yes.
monorail too. So the next day, we decided we're going to use a different form of transportation that's also free, probably the least popular form, and that would be walking.
I feel like maybe that's not as popular on a park day as it would be a resort day, maybe earlier in the trip, not late in the trip. But yeah, I
Right.
see you going there. Back in the day, if we would be at Yacht or Beach Club or Boardwalk, we would make it to the studios faster on foot, pushing the strollers than we would taking the boat over. I feel like now that boat would beat my slow self every time. My teenagers would head off without me at this point, I think. I'd be
Yeah,
waiting for the
we'll meet
boat,
you in
but yeah,
line.
so you started at Beach Club in the morning?
Yeah, we started Beach Club in the morning. We needed to make our way back over to Wilderness Lodge for another meeting that day, but we still had we gave ourselves an hour and a half of time just because transportation is unpredictable. You don't know. Give yourself plenty of time for that. So we decided, and this was at park opening. So we knew buses were going to be running a lot. We walked from Disney's Beach Club Resort to the entrance of Hollywood Studios to grab a bus
Okay.
there. So the walk, it's a great walk. It really is. It's not all that long. And you get to have great views of the boardwalk as you go by. Walk by the Swan and Dolphin as well. We exited out. You walk past the yacht club, take the bridge there, and then just keep following the path. A lot of people like to use that. It's a great running trail. I don't know what that's like on vacation, but
I have seen people running. I have looked and have not seen monsters behind them. I'm not
yeah.
certain what's happening, but yeah. Yeah, it is
Yeah.
a nice trail. If I remember correctly, I think it's under a half mile from the boardwalk over to the studios. I think it's around 3/4 of a mile from the International Gateway Yacht Beach area there over to the studio. So it's nice if the weather's pleasant and your feet aren't sore. It's a great option.
Yeah, there's not a lot of shade, so if it's in the middle of the day in the summer, it might not be your best option, but early in the morning, when it's still cool in the day or at night, it is a nice walk to go through. You walk along the water quite a bit. You will see boats going along the way. Depending on how fast you walk, you could beat the friendship boat, depending on where the starting location is. So it is possible. Friendship boats do take a little bit longer. It's a nice ride, but they do take a little bit longer because of the stops. So we got there, we got to Hollywood Studios in about 15 minutes, and there was a bus for Wilderness Lodge waiting there when we arrived. So that was
Okay.
very convenient.
That was lucky.
I will, yeah, very lucky. I will say my hack for trying to grab a bus does not work if you're trying to go to a different resort than the one that you are staying at. So I could
Okay.
not pull up, yeah, could not pull up Wilderness
You
Lodge.
can't see their wait times, right? Okay.
Yeah, but we lucked out on that. And so we took the bus over there. When we arrived, this was a nice little treat. There was actually a character bus there taking the characters around to different resorts. So we did not see the characters, but we saw the bus that they ride in.
Even that's exciting. That's
And
cute.
it was exciting. It was exciting to see that they have a designated bus for that. So we took a picture with the bus and
Okay.
made our way to our meeting location. In the afternoon, we had a little bit more time before we needed to be back to Wilderness Lodge. So we took a bus from the Wilderness Lodge to the Magic Kingdom. We were going to do the resort loop there, figure out what to do. And then we decided once we got to the Magic Kingdom, we had the great idea hey, let's go to Trader Sam's. We got about 90 minutes to kill. Let's go check out Trader Sam's. This is where things kind of got a little bit tricky for us. So our first idea was to take the resort loop monorail. That was down, unfortunately. So we were going to take a friendship boat because you can take the friendship boat from there. As we walked up to the dock, the friendship boat just filled up and just left because everybody was going from
Oh,
the resort loop down to the boat docks. So our last option was to take the express monorail to the Ticket and Transportation Center, which is honestly probably the best option to have. We were just trying to prolong out some of our transportation. So um, when we got to the Ticket and Transportation Center, there is a little hack there too. If you're staying at Disney's Polynesian Resort, you can exit out the Ticket and Transportation Center and walk to Disney's Polynesian Resort. There's a very short trail there too as well.
and it's well marked. The path from the Transportation and Ticket Center to the Polynesian is pretty well marked. There are a few signs, and you'll see those tiki torches start
Yes.
as soon as you get to the opening of that path. Also, they'll help lead you in there.
Yeah, so there's a sign for the resort. There's tiki torches. You go through there, and if you are staying at one of the outer buildings close to the Ticket Transportation Center, it is a much faster and quicker walk just to go to the Ticket Transportation Center than it is to go to the Grand Ceremonial House to grab the monorail. So, especially if you're doing an Epcot heavy trip, don't go to the Grand Ceremonial House because you're just gonna have to switch. Just walk over to the Ticket Transportation Center and get on
Mhm.
the Epcot line.
Uh-huh. Okay, very good. All right, so you walked over, got to
Walked
Trader
over, went to
Sam's.
Trader Sam's. We didn't get
How was the
inside. We
wait
got
there?
outside. I'm sorry.
You were outside there?
We were
Okay,
outside.
on the
Yes, we were
terrace.
outside.
Okay.
We did not want to risk because we did need to get back. But we were outside. But it was nice. They had live music going. It was very quick to get served and everything. We spent some time out there. Had a great hour to ourselves out
Mhm.
there. Our small little group. But then by the time everybody paid, we had about 20 minutes to get back to the Wilderness Lodge. So we spent a little bit of a leisurely time there, but we need to get back. So we decided we pulled up our Lyft app and we decided to call for a minivan. Now, this is also technically a form of Disney transportation, but it is an additional charge. It is more than just any other ride share that you would get because you're getting a special vehicle. These are great because you can get vehicles that are there for people who are disabled. You can call for those. Those are a little bit more fewer and far between, but you can call for them. You can also get vehicles with car seats in them. So if you're traveling with young kids, this is a great way. If you have a breakfast character reservation at a different resort in the morning, call your minivan, get a car seat. It works
And I
very
think
well.
it's two, right? I think each minivan is equipped with two 5-point harness seats for the
Yes.
young ones.
Yeah.
And like Rachel said, it's right there in the Lyft app. They will know that you're on Disney property. You could only take them to and from destinations on Disney's property. So you can't order one from Wilderness Lodge and take it to a Walmart or something like that. That's
Yes,
not an option,
absolutely. Yeah.
but they are great to get around on Disney property. One of our favorite things to do when we take a minivan is to have a fun one-on-one conversation with the drivers. We have found the minivan drivers have had some of the most exciting cast member previous position experiences, I guess you would say. My kids always say, okay, ask the question, ask the question. I'll say, okay, so before you were a minivan driver, what else did you do for the Disney company? And they usually have a pretty long list of all of their experiences. They really, really know the property inside out. The cars are always impeccably clean and comfortable. And the music is always enjoyable. It's customized to wherever you're going to, so that makes
Yeah.
it a lot fun also. So we love minivanning.
Yeah, that was actually my first minivan experience.
Really?
So
Okay.
it was, and so that's why that's especially it was special at that time to be able to say, "Hey, I finally got to ride a minivan." It was a 5-minute trip, but I finally got to ride
You got
a
to do
minivan.
it. Yep.
Yeah, and so pricing is based on the distance and time of
Mhm.
day as well. Now, with us going such a short distance from Disney's Polynesian Resort to the Wilderness Lodge, the ride was about $20. So split 5 ways. It wasn't bad at all, even though it wasn't upcharge when you split it between adults. It was worth it. It was well worth it. And the nice thing is that the driver just didn't take us to the lobby and drop us off there. We were going to the Copper Creek cabins, and he got us as close as he could to where we were heading to our final destination. And so that was
Right.
nice too, because we got there on time with that. So that was a huge plus for us.
Right, that is a big plus. And I didn't realize until I recently had an experience in one of the cabins that they do have special little lots, parking lots for people staying in the Cascade cabins at Copper Creek. And I had had the same experience. I was driving and was able to pull right into that lot that was really close. So I think that's probably where you were dropped off by the minivan as well. When you're dealing with a typical Lyft or Uber driver, they don't know that stuff and they don't have access to that either. So that gives
Yeah.
you a little bit more value there in addition to just the fun experience, which is really what you're paying for with the minivan. There are some
Yeah.
extra perks like that. So
Yeah, there are.
that's
And
great.
if you need to take a lot of people, rideshare is pretty popular from resorts to the parks. And so for the other parks with rideshare, you get pretty close to the main gate when you get dropped off. You do not for the Magic Kingdom unless you are in a minivan. Minivans do have the ability and permission to go to where the bus stops are located. All the other rideshare options, if you're going to the Magic Kingdom, they will drop you at the Ticket and Transportation Center. I did enjoy the minivan. As you said, it was impeccable. It was so clean. It was nice and air conditioned. It was there in a matter of minutes.
Mhm.
And we didn't have to wait long at all. And so I did really enjoy that.
Okay. And was that it? Was that your final?
That was our final one. We took
Okay.
a vehicle. Somebody in our group that was not part of that challenge for that day did have a vehicle, so we split up between different vehicles. There were several of us and only about 2 or 3 vehicles. So taking a vehicle every time was not an option. That's why we decided, hey, let's have some fun with this too. Instead of just going from bus to bus or anything, let's have some fun on the way.
Okay, so out of all of those modes of transportation you just told us about, do you have a favorite? Like, is there one that you will plan your trip around being able to use that for your family or for yourself personally? Or
Will always be my favorite just because to me that is classic Disney
quintessential
transportation.
Disney? Yep, it
Yeah,
is.
absolutely. So it is essential Disney. But if I don't have anywhere to be, a friendship boat will win every time too.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right. Good to know. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that experience with us. That was a lot of fun to
absolutely.
follow along with. I can kind of picture in my mind where those things are. And if our listeners are familiar with Disney property, I'm sure you were thinking about some experiences you've had there as well. And if not, then hopefully you will someday soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I recommend the Disney Grand Slam. We'll call it that.
Okay. Rachel and I actually have a trip coming up together in July, so maybe we'll have to try out a little bit of the transportation options, or maybe just snacking. Maybe it can be a combined snack and beverage
Yes, that's
transportation.
a good idea too. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. So we'll do more planning for that trip in a future podcast. So that's just a little something to look forward to as we're
Yes,
moving along here.
completely. Yeah, that's gonna be a fun trip.
It
going to move into our top 5 list. So each week we are going to have a top 5 list of some of our favorites, least favorites, anything like that. We're going to go with that. But right now, because the Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival is going on, it's in full swing. It's about to start winding down. We're going to talk about our top 5 picks from the Flower and Garden Festival. So, Missy, I'll let you start us out with your number 5 pick.
Okay, my number 5 pick from the festival, and you'll notice as we go along here, I kind of have a theme going with my top picks. It's the Bananas Foster bread pudding from Magnolia Terrace, which does not photograph very well. It is not a very pretty dessert. It looks a little sloppy, but it's pretty tasty. So it made my top 5 list.
Well, there you go. That's all it needs. It just needs to taste good. That's all that
That's
matters.
right.
It really is all that matters. Anything, it doesn't have to look good on your garbage can table that you have. Yeah. So my number 5 is the hot honey chicken sandwich from Connections Eatery. I love spicy food to begin with.
Okay.
And hot honey is high on my list. It's like avocado toast. So to me, I put hot honey in my iced coffee. I love it. So anything that incorporate, yes, it's good. It's
What?
good. Yeah. Gives it a little kick.
I
So
have never, ever heard
it's
that.
it's worth a try. If you like spicy, a little bit of hot honey in your iced coffee is very good. So I do love,
I'm now concerned for the entire rest of this list and all future travels with you. I've never heard that before. Okay, well, good to know. And you said that was Connections, right?
Yeah, Connections Eater, yes.
Okay. My number 4 is the chocolate maple whiskey cake from Northern Bloom, which I think looks much prettier than my previous choice. And it's very tasty. It's like a gooey, you'll see all of mine are desserts. Every single thing on my
Hey, we're having a theme here. So.
That's the trend. That is the trend. So yeah, it's all dessert. So if this is really my top 5 dessert at Flower and Garden right now.
Well, there you go. Well, my number 4 is also it's savory as well.
Okay, good. It's a good
It's
mashup
also
here.
Northern Bloom. It's the beef tenderloin tips with whirly
Okay.
sauce and with potatoes. So I anything with steak in Canada Pavilion is good for me. So they always have an excellent steak dish at the
Mhm.
festivals that you can get over at the Canadian Pavilion. So I do enjoy that one. It's good. It's good. It's hearty.
Mhm.
It's a decent size serving and portion too. So it's well worth
Mhm.
it.
You can't go wrong with steak and potatoes, like
Not at
really.
all. No, yeah.
It's a good choice. It's a good choice. And then you should finish it off with one of my desserts.
Yes, there we go.
I bet that I haven't had the two of them together, the maple whiskey cake and the beef, but I should. I should because they sound like they go good together. My number 3 is the little chocolate mousse terrarium from Trowel and Trellis. I just think it's so cute. Now, I'm
Yes.
not going to eat the flowers that are on the top. The matcha crumble's a little questionable for me,
Yeah.
but it was good. It's good if you kind of like blend it all in together. I'm also noticing as I go on so far, these have all been chocolate also.
Well, here's
You see where
another
I go.
thing.
And they're all things that I need to eat very quickly because they tend to get like melty and sticky and icky. Typically, it's pretty hot during Flower and Garden. So, they don't last long, any of them.
Yes, absolutely. So my number 3 is a dessert dish. It's a warm cheese strudel with berry compote from the Barn Markt, the farmers market over in Germany Pavilion. Any festival in Germany, they have an excellent pastry dessert there. So I love a good pastry, and especially with the nice berry compote over it, it's really good. And there's always a line there because it's very popular too as well.
All right. My number 2 is not really one of my super favorites, but if I didn't put it on here, my kids would probably never forgive me. It's the frushi. You got to have
Yeah.
the frushi. They would probably go to that festival just to eat the frushi. I don't know, even know what is it, pineapple or it's
Kiwi usually in there, everything like
I
that.
know it's got some coconutty stuff going on
Yeah.
with it. It's been I tried it years ago. It wasn't bad, but it's not my favorite. But it made the list because
It
it's
did
something my
good.
family plans around. So
Well,
it
yeah,
had to be on there.
absolutely, completely, yeah, yeah. So my number 2 spot is the croissant au fromage from Fleur de Lis. This is the booth that is in the France Pavilion. So I love bread and I love cheese, and so this is a great combination with that as well. In that it's nice and warm, it's gooey, it's gonna get you messy, but Again, traveling with small children, I always have baby wipes at the moment, so it works for me.
It's a good point. I need to start
Yeah, it
traveling.
is.
Somehow
Carry
my
some
life
baby
is
wipes, put them in your
we,
pocket, you'll be happy.
we've transitioned from carrying like baby wipes in the car to dude wipes, and let me tell you, it's not as fun. All right, my number one pick is the s'mores bar from Beach Grub. Uh,
Nice.
The dessert itself is great, but I got to give like an honorable mention here to the yacht and beach grub booths. The play on the name there, the words in the name, I think are hilarious. Like the word grub is not anything I would have ever thought would be used in a name for a Disney festival. So I do appreciate it. I think it's hilarious. I enjoy the play on words there. And
Yeah,
but yeah, the s'mores bar from Beach Grub, um, I think was my favorite.
absolutely. So my number one is a drink, and but to me, this is the Flower and Garden Festival, and that is the Violet Lemonade from
I
Pineapple
knew that.
Pond.
I knew you were going to say
Yes.
that.
Is it the best drink in the world? No, it's delicious. It really is. But it's just, you have to get it when you're there, and it photographs very well. If you want a good photograph of something at the festival, that one is always a good one.
It is
It's a
pretty. It's
it is very
very
pretty.
pretty.
It's a bright purple color, the little flower on the top. It's beautiful, but it does taste really, it does taste good. It's very good. And it's just fun to get and fun to share with your kids, things like that. So that's a good one.
Well, look at that. We just did our first ever top five and we had no
Good.
duplicates. No
We did
duplicates.
really good. I'm very
That
proud
was
of us.
not planned, everybody.
Yes, we did not
Those
go
were
over
really our
beforehand.
personal
This
top
is
five things. So,
just a top five for us.
yeah. So I guess that's kind of why we travel well together because we check out
Yes,
like all the things, different things. So
different things.
that's a lot
We'll
of
have
fun.
different dishes for everybody. Yeah.
Okay. And we will move on now to our question and answer period, which is something once we get this rolling here, we would love for you as our listeners to send in questions for us. But to start off with today, we just asked some friends to give us some questions. And today's question of the week is going to be what we feel is the best way to get from Walt Disney World to MCO, the Orlando International Airport. So,
Yes. I
Rachel, do
think I
you
know
want to
your
start with that
answer.
there? I don't know. Maybe you do, maybe you don't.
Okay.
Okay, what do you think my answer is?
I think your answer is rideshare. You're going to
It
stay there as
is.
long as possible.
It
It's
is.
rideshare.
That's absolutely it does kind of vary by trip. It depends on who I have with me. If I have a larger group or people who aren't as experienced with doing Disney, if it's more than just my husband and my two kids and I, we may organize a private transfer or something. But when it's just us and we're coming and going, we want to spend every minute there, every minute on vacation that we possibly can. So we'll use rideshare because I feel it saves us the most time. And the pricing is usually very reasonable. Now, with
Yeah.
dynamic pricing, you never know for sure what it's going to be, but we usually will pick one of the larger size vehicles from a rideshare app, and it's pretty reasonable compared to all of the other options. So, yeah, rideshare for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't typically ride share unless I am traveling with just adults because again, I have small children and if I'm going to be in something like a ride share, I would want a car seat for that. So we do Mears Connect a lot because it is easy and convenient. It's just, we hop on a large charter bus and there's usually music, sometimes video playing, keeps the kids entertained. The kids think it's really neat. As we were talking about with the bus transportation, it's not the most exciting option unless you have small children and they think the bus is the best thing in the world. So Mears Connect kind of gets that started for us. But I'll agree with you too. If you have a larger party, sometimes private transfers are actually less expensive than what you would get with going with Mears Connect. Is with Mears Connect, you're paying by the individual with that, unless you get upgrade to some of their options for private transfers. But yeah, private transfers are a great option too. And if you're traveling with small kids, you can get a couple of car seats thrown in there too with that.
Okay. And if you, as our listener, have any questions about anything that we've talked about today, or if you would please submit a question that you have to be used for our future question and answer time on the podcast, you can submit those a few ways. You could email a Disney Life at storybookdestinations.com or podcast at storybookdestinations.com to submit that. You could also join in on our newly formed Facebook group, which is a group on on Facebook called A Disney Life, and we can help out with some questions there also.
All right. Yes. And we would love for you guys to submit them for that. And there'll be more things that we'll have coming up that we would love for your participation in too. So, with that, Missy's going to close us out with a tip of the week for that. So, thank you, Missy.
Yep. So our tip of the week, we're going back, reflecting on our top 5 that we just did. It's a flower and garden tip. My flower and garden tip, if at all possible, try to go on a weekday and don't arrive when you're already starving. Set yourself up for success at these festivals. Don't go the very first day of the festival. Try to go midweek when there will be less people there, because just historically that it just makes sense for it to be busier on the weekends. Try to go on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and don't skip breakfast thinking you're going to save room, because you don't want to get in that first line, have it be a little bit on the longer side when the booths first open, and be hangry before you get there. So don't arrive on an empty stomach. Don't be full, but you know the right space for your own body personally. And I think it's important to set yourself up for success there, and have your expectations in line, because if you show up thinking you're only going to eat festival food the whole day and you haven't eaten anything first, you may end up pretty disappointed. So
Yeah, I love that tip. I do the same thing. I during Epcot during a festival, it's during the week. It makes it much more enjoyable. It shortens the lines, and I'm able to try and do more things that I want to do than if I had gone on a weekend.
perfect. All right, everybody. So I think that's all there is for our first episode of a Disney Life podcast. We thank you so much for joining in with us today. We hope this is the first of many to come, and that you'll continue to listen and participate along with us by sending in your emails at a Disney Life at storybookdestinations.com, or at podcast at storybookdestinations.com, or by joining in with us on our new Facebook group, which we are now forming, called A Disney Life. So thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you soon.